All right, let's get right into it. Today, we are tearing open a case file. We're going deep inside the actual documents, the court orders, the angry emails, the sworn declarations, to see exactly how a fight between roommates can blow up into an all-out war fought on paper and online. Sometimes the best place to start a story is at the end. And that's what this is. It's a final court order from September 2025. When you see a document like this, all stamped and official, you know the fight is over. Well, one part of it anyway. And in this round, there was a very clear winner. The court ordered Dustin Jolly to pay Reanna Fox and Robert Gummersol exactly $7,687.74. And get this, that wasn't for damages. That was just to cover their lawyer's bill. And that right there is the big question, isn't it? That number represents a long, ugly, and really expensive fight. So, how on earth did it get to this point? Let's follow the paper trail. We're going to break this down into 5 parts. First, we'll look at the documents that set the stage. Then we'll dive into the main event, a battle of legal injunctions that leads to a pretty shocking reversal by the court. After that, we'll see how this whole thing jumps from a civil case to a criminal one. And finally, we'll look at the war of words that was fueling the fire the entire time. When you really get down to it, every legal fight is a story told through documents. So to understand what happened here, we have to start at the very beginning, with the foundational facts that are laid out on paper. And it all kicks off right here. A pretty normal-looking apartment building on Mercer Island in Washington. This place becomes ground zero for the entire conflict. Now, here's a detail that might seem small, but it becomes absolutely critical later on. According to the official lease agreement for the apartment, Robert Gummersol is the only person legally listed as the tenant. That one fact becomes the cornerstone of his whole legal argument. And this is a perfect example of how a case file lets you connect the dots. On the left, that's Gummersol's signature on the lease from 2024. On the right, that's his signature on a sworn court statement a year later. The paper trail is consistent, and it confirms who had the legal right to be in that apartment. Okay, so this is where things really start to heat up. The fight spills out of the apartment and into the courthouse, and the stakes get a whole lot higher, real fast. This is the first big shot fired. Dustin Jolly walks into a courthouse and files for a temporary protection order. Now he does this ex parte, which is a really important legal term. It basically means he went to the judge and told his side of the story, and Fox and Gummersol weren't even there to defend themselves. And the impact of that order? It was immediate. It was brutal. The very next day, police show up at their door. In their own sworn statement, Fox and Gummersol say they were given half an hour to get out, forcing them to leave almost everything they own behind. Just like that, they were homeless. So now you have these two completely different realities crashing into each other in court. Jolly's filing claims he's a victim of unlawful harassment. But in their response, Fox and Gummersol's lawyers fire back, calling his petitions baseless and, quote, a misuse of the legal system. Two sides, two irreconcilable stories. So you've got these two totally opposite narratives. How does a judge even begin to untangle all this? Well, it turns out it all came down to the very specific wording of the law. First, just a quick refresher on what an ex parte order is. Think of it like a legal emergency brake. A judge can issue one based on just one person's story if they think there's an immediate threat. But it's only temporary, a stopgap measure until everyone can come to court for a full hearing. And here it is. This is the legal kill shot. The lawyers for Fox and Gummersol found this one specific line in Washington state law, and it's crystal clear. A temporary order, the exact kind that Jolly got, cannot legally be used to kick someone out of their own home. Their entire case hinged on this single point of law. And the court completely agreed. The judge's decision was a clean sweep. First, the temporary orders were thrown out because they went beyond what the law allowed. Second, after hearing from both sides, the judge denied Jolly's request to make the order permanent. And third, the court ordered him to pay their legal fees. Which brings us right back to that $7,700 bill we saw at the beginning. But just when you think it's all over, it's not. Not even close. Because after losing in civil court, the conflict takes another sharp turn. Jolly puts together this massive dossier, and suddenly, the fight isn't just about harassment anymore. It's about serious criminal accusations. We're not talking about small claims court anymore. This dossier lays out a case for a full-blown criminal conspiracy.
And look at the allegations. Grant theft, identity theft, forgery. These are major felonies. The whole game just changed.
And this wasn't just some angry letter. To give it more weight, the dossier specifically cites the official Washington state legal codes for each alleged crime. It's structured to look like a formal report, something meant for police and prosecutors to take seriously. You know, to really understand what was driving this thing, you have to look past the legal filings and the statutes. You have to look at the actual words people were saying, the emails and social media posts. That's where you see the raw emotion of this fight. On one side, you have communications from Jolly that sound like this. It's very formal, very legalistic. He makes a final formal demand and threatens to escalate through all legal and law enforcement channels. The tone is very deliberate, like he's carefully building a paper trail with every word. And then you have the other side, a completely different tone, a completely different reality. In this message, Reanna Fox isn't just saying she's innocent. She's accusing Jolly of weaponizing the judiciary system to commit a felony against her. It's passionate, it's public, and it's explosive. And tucked away in that criminal dossier is this one little detail, designed to paint a much bigger picture. The report makes this startling claim that Reanna Fox has used 17 different aliases. It's a detail clearly meant to suggest a pattern of deception, adding another layer of complexity to this whole mess.
And really, that brings us to the heart of what this whole case file shows us. When every text message can become evidence and every disagreement can be spun into a legal claim, it forces you to ask a really tough question. In this modern world, where we can document and escalate our conflicts forever, where do you draw the line between fighting for justice and just waging a personal war?